Hi, hello, welcome or welcome back. My name is Kim, and today we are going to be talking about all the best books that I have read so far in 2024. These are not all 5-star books. They're actually all about 4 stars or more, and I will be talking about them in the order that I read them this year. I got quite a good variety in here, a couple literary, thrillers, horrors, no romances yet. I have yet to read a romance that is 4 stars or higher this year, so knock on wood for me for the rest of the romances I read. Okay, so we'll start off with the very first book that I had read this year, and that is Orbital by Samantha Harvey. This is a literary fiction. Within this one, we follow a group of astronauts as they are in space and they are just circling Earth. And there is not much more to the book than that. So really there's no plot, but beautiful writing, really great observations of Earth, also observations about what happens when what makes us kind of human and who we are here on Earth, and that's all taken away. It was very, very beautiful writing. So but yeah, definite forewarning, there's absolutely no plot. Okay, so the next one is Natural Beauty by Ling Ling Huang, and I gave this 4 stars. Within this one, we follow our narrator as she gets a job at Holistic, which is like this beauty store, think like Sephora, but like more fancy, where they're kind of really doing experimental beauty treatments. And she essentially takes this job to help care for her parents who were in an accident and essentially are in need round the clock care. And she used to be a pianist, and she had to abandon that so she could take care of her parents. I really liked the writing and parts where she talked about her relationship with her parents, and I also really like the allegory around the beauty industry standards and how there's always something around the corner that can make you better. And yeah, the commentary around the beauty industry was just, I really, really liked that quite a bit. The next one is The Guest List by Lucy Foley, and this was the very first 5-star read of 2024. I read this in March, I think it was, so it took me a few months to find a 5-star, but this one was great. I did a whole video talking about it, so if you'd like to know a little bit more about why I loved it, then go watch that. But essentially, we follow along with a variety of characters. There's different perspectives that we get. I would recommend doing immersive reading with this, where you're reading it with your eyes and you're listening to the audiobook at the same time. That was a wonderful experience. There's different narrators. They all kind of just do such a great job at distincting between the different characters and who's going on. Lucy Foley did a wonderful job at making these characters very complex, very individual from each other, very fleshed out, and how their complex parts of their life impact the entire whodunit of it all. There is a body that is found on the wedding night, and so eventually it's kind of revealed who's done what and why. But you really, like, I could not figure it out, and I mentioned in the video that that I reviewed this book and talked about it, is that I didn't really care to figure out who done it. I didn't try to get ahead. I just absolutely enjoyed the reading experience of this book. It was so enjoyable. I really like Lucy Foley's writing. It was very atmospheric. I loved the setting. It was just this like isolated island, a castle where a wedding is being held. There's a lot of themes within this book that I really enjoyed. I then read Boy Parts by Eliza Clark, and I'm still debating on what my rating is going to be for this book. Either it's for sure somewhere between like 4.25 or 4.75 stars, or 5 stars. I don't really know. I'm still thinking about it. Don't put pressure on me to decide a rating. But essentially we follow Irina, and she takes very interesting and explicit photos of men. This is kind of like her job. She's gone to school for photography, and one day she gets invited to have her photos part of a gallery, I believe it is, or just some kind of show. And so she's very excited about it, and you follow along with her as she takes this like slow descent into not madness, but just like an artistic spiral. And she describes kind of what we follow along as it's discussed how her journey. Wow, I'm not making any sense. Word soup. We follow her as she is kind of mentally recounting her photography journey and these men that she's met, and how her craft has evolved into what it is today. And she really thinks very highly of herself. She's a character that is unlikable, and you are not supposed to like her at all. I think that Eliza Clark was kind of a risk taker with writing this book, because there's going to be a whole group of readers out there who need a character-driven novel and a character that they can root for and like, and this is not going to appeal to them in any way. This character is very manipulative. She's unkind to everybody in her life, even those who have her best interests at heart. It doesn't matter. No one is exempt from her manipulation, really, truly. She does horrendous things to people, and horrendous things happen to her. It's like watching an awful car wreck get worse and worse and worse, but you literally cannot look away. I could not stop reading this book. I found it absolutely engrossing and captivating, very gritty. It was very easy to slip into as well, the writing. Like, I started reading it and then literally I was like, oh my god, this is not easy to read, but it was just, I got into a flow very quickly. It was excellent, but definitely look up trigger warnings before getting into this, because there were some things that happened in this that I am literally never getting out of my mind. Like, it's every time I think about this book, I think about this one part specifically, and it's in here forever. I almost want to do a whole video where I talk about boy parts, because there's just so many layers to it, but I feel like kind of what I've described already gives a good kind of idea of what to, one, expect going into this, but there, you could easily Google it, and there's some really great articles out there talking about this book and some of the themes and, you know, the whole point of the book too. So let me know if you'd like to see that or not. All right, and then the last two I talked about in my most recent wrap-up video, which I will also link somewhere around here, but that is The Only One Left by Riley Sager. I gave this 4 stars. This was great. I really, specifically, I liked the setting within this. We follow Kit as she goes to Hope's End to take care of a Lenora Hope who is mute, and she can only move one hand. Lenora Hope, not Kit. And so she's Lenora Hope's healthcare aide. And Lenora Hope has this history in her family. Her entire family was murdered, and everyone assumed that it was Lenora Hope. And there's this like rhyme in the town that they live in, like it's this notorious story. So when Kit lands a job there, she's quite nervous too, because she's taking care of the Lenora Hope. And so she's also kind of like, did she do it? Like, no one really knows if Lenora Hope actually, you know, murdered her entire family or not. And so she's really kind of trying to not, you know, lean into that and trying to talk to Lenora Hope and figure it out for herself. But then very quickly, Lenora Hope, there's like a typewriter in her room that she uses to help her communicate with Kit, and she starts to tell Kit her story and what happened that night. I really like the way that this book was structured. I loved the setting, the backdrop, this manor that's literally falling apart as Kit and Lenora and the rest of the staff are living at Hope's End. It's crumbling beneath them. So there's that added layer of tension where this place could fall apart any minute, and Lenora Hope cannot move unassisted. It was excellent. I really liked it. I loved the way that it ended. The last one I'm going to talk about is a literary fiction, and that is Everyone in This Room Will Someday Be Dead by Emily Austen. I also talked about this in April's wrap-up. Essentially, we follow Gilda, and she ends up working in a church. She just so happens to land herself a job in this church because she's going there to seek help, and they just kind of assume that she's the new receptionist, and she does nothing to correct them on this assumption. She is a character who is going through a really tough time in her life at this moment. She is somebody who cares really, really deeply for everybody and everything around her, to the point where it hurts her and it gives her anxiety and it makes her panic just thinking about how everyone will someday be dead, and that includes her loved ones. It includes, you know, she thinks back to her childhood bunny who passed away, and just, it's so like, it just pulls on your heartstrings following along with her, but the writing is excellent. Oh, I also gave The Only One Left, I think I mentioned 4 stars, and then I gave Everyone in This Room Will Someday Be Dead 5 stars. But that is all the best books that I have read so far in 2024. I look forward to seeing how the rest of my year shapes up. I mentioned in my April wrap-up that I'm craving some more thrillers and plot-driven books, so I'm hoping to get some more 5-star or 4-star thrillers under my belt this year. That'd be really wonderful, because I find they're just really far and few in between these days. Pretty good. I was like looking over the books I had read this year just to kind of prep for this video, and I was like, I've had a pretty decent reading year so far. These are really good books that I really enjoyed, and for different reasons too. Anyways, thank you so much for hanging out for a little bit. Please let me know if we had any favorite books in common or what your favorite book of the year was. I hope you're enjoying what you're reading, and I will see you in the next video.